Welcome to our fifth lesson on functions. What we're going to be doing today, we're going to look at what we call composite functions. We're looking at what we call composite functions. Um, with the composite functions, we are talking about functions inside a function inside another function. So, for example, I've got a function f of x is equals to, say, for example, 2x and 1. And then I've got another different function, g of x, equal to something different. Say, for example, just 3, plus x, or x plus 3, same thing. Now, if I want to find a composite function, it's like I'm trying to take one function and putting it inside the other one. Okay. So composite functions are basically a function inside another function. So composite functions. One function is inside the other one. And the notation for that would be, for example, f g of x. And what this basically means is that the function g of x is inside the function f of x. The g of x becomes the input of f of x. Okay, so what do you mean by that? It means this, that the first thing, you're going to start with your f of x, which is going to be 2x plus 1. However, where this x is, the g of x, this g of x, the x plus 2, now becomes the input there. It's as if this x plus 2 is now your x here. It becomes the input there. Okay, so repeating that, fg of x means that you start with f of x, which is 2x plus 1, but then this x, this input here, is basically the entire x plus 2 there. Okay, so this is going to now be 2 times by x. Now our x is the input that comes from there, which is x plus 2. That is x add 2. And then close bracket, so that x has become x add 2, and then you just basically add 1 there. Okay, now then you just simplify basically. So I've got 2 times x, which is 2x, then I've got 2 times 2, which is 4, then I've got plus 1. If you simplify, that becomes 2x plus 5. Okay, so now the function fg of x is 2x plus 5. Now let's look at, what about if you have g f of x? You are putting f of x inside g of x. In other words, f of x becomes the input for g of x. So that's a composite function. Function within a function. That's what composite is. So I would like us to look at gf of x. I've got g f there, f of x. Now, this one you start with g. So g is x add 2. So g is going to be x add 2. Now, the x is always the input, but this time right now the input becomes 2x plus 1. That's going to be 2x plus 1 becomes x there. So it's going to be 2x plus 1. That is this x here, plus 2. Now, I want you to notice that these x's are different, so don't confuse them. So I'm not saying that x plus 2 is just 2x plus 1 plus 2. Now, these values of x are different, so you have to be careful on that one. Okay, so moving on, we have 2x. Can open the bracket, I've got 3 there. So that's just basically it. So the function g f of x is given by 2x plus 3. Okay, so that is how now, that's now how to do a composite function. Okay, so let's look at another example. Let's look at another example. Let's look at another example. Sometimes they can give you a value. They can tell you what the value of x is, and they want to find you the value of that composite function. An example would be when I have something like, again, g of x and f of x, whereby they now give me the value of x. So let's say, so f of x, let's pretend that f of x is, say, for example, x squared. And then I've got g of x is maybe something like x plus 1. So these are quadratic function and these are linear function. Now, what they're asking me to do, they're asking me to find, number one, to find fg of 1. Right, so what they're basically telling you is find the function fg of x first, and then you just substitute in 1 where x is. So the first thing I will need to do here, I will need to put in x plus 1 inside x squared. Right, so x squared becomes x plus 1, and all you need to do now is to square it. Okay, so this x plus 1 here becomes the input for x squared. Now you can open the bracket at this time and simplify it, or at this stage now you can just sub in the value of x. The value of x you've been given to be 1. So you can just substitute in there instead of expanding this bracket. So the value is going to be now 1 plus 1, and then you just basically square that. So this is going to be 2 squared, which is going to be 4. Okay, so fg of 1 becomes 4 if I know what x is there. Okay, now let's look at another example. Let's look at another example. You can always pause the videos when I'm doing these examples. You can always pause the videos and copy the example down if you need to, or you can always just move with me to the next example. Right, so f of x is x plus 1 over 3, and g of x is basically just 2x. Okay? Now what they've told me to do is basically find the function g f of, say for example 0. Okay, so what is g f of x when x is actually 0? The first thing is to take the f of x and put it inside g. So f of x is this one. You put it inside g there. So inside x, so it becomes the input of x there. Okay, so g is what you need to copy, which is going to be 2x. But don't write x. Where x is, bring this f of x as input. So it's going to be x plus 1 all divided by 3. Now if you open the bracket, you can times 2x and 1. You're going to get 2x there, and then you have 2, and then you divide by 3. Now this stage now, then you can now easily sub in 0. You could have done it there, but you can always do it even at this stage. So subbing in 0, I've got 2 times by 0 plus 2 all divided by 3. Now that becomes 0 there plus 2 over 3, which is going to be 2/3. Okay. So when x is 0, gf of x becomes 2 over 3. Okay. Now I'd like you to pause the video now, and I would like you to try for question A. I would like you to try part 2 and part 3, and then for question B, I would like you to try part 2 and part 3 again, and then for question C, I would like you to try part 1 and then try part 2. So pause the video and try them, and then for the last one, I would like you to try part 1 on that. So how about those, please? Okay, hope you've tried them. Right, so I'm just going to pick one of them, and I'm going to go over that quickly for you. So I'm going to try D, and I'm going to find part Roman number 1 here. So f of 3. Right, so doing that, I've got f of 3. The first thing you need to do is do f of x first. That's the first thing you can do. So you can actually just combine them first. Right, so I've got f hiding inside f. Now what that means is this. You start with f, which is x squared plus x. But where x's are, you sub in x squared plus x. So f of x becomes the input for f of x, technically. So for this x squared here, if I just write it so then you understand, so I've got x squared there plus x. So what's going to happen is that where x is, I'm going to put the whole of that because I'm subbing in f of x inside f of x. I've got x squared plus x, and then you're squaring that. Then where this x is, again, you just put x squared plus x. So I've got x squared plus x. That is where x is. You can close out the bracket if you want. So this x squared is different from this, so don't confuse them. And this is actually different from that. So you need to understand that. Now the next thing now I can do is now to do f f of, I use the value 3 for example, and all I need to do at this stage is where x's are, I just put 3. So I don't need to expand this bracket. I don't need to do that. But where x is now, I'm just going to put 3. So 3 squared there plus 3, close bracket, about square there, plus 3 squared plus 3, so it's 3 squared plus 3, close bracket, and then basically move on. Okay. Right, so then 3 squared is 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 squared is 144. Then I've got 9 there. No, that shouldn't be. This square shouldn't be there. So then I've got 9 here plus 3 is basically 12. So then add 12. So the answer is going to be 156. Okay. So f of 3 is 156. So I hope you understood that. Right. So so that's that. So you can, I'm going to show you the answer so then you can just basically mark the ones you've done that I didn't have the answers for. So you just mark your work quickly. Okay, so if you mark your work, right, so you should have noticed that there's some of them that you're wondering how to do. For example, the ones that have got 3 letters in them. For example, FGH of 4, this one. So somebody might be wondering how do you do that? And also something like HGF -1, you might be wondering that how to do that, or even this. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take you back to this example here, which I prepared earlier. And I want us to find FGF of x. So this is a composite function that has got like 3 functions in one, basically. Now, the first thing you need to do, you need to just focus on the first 2 first. So you need to focus on that one first. That. Deal with that first. So I've got g f of x. That's my first focus. So sub that one in quickly. So now you start with g first. So g is basically 7 minus 2x. So it's 7 minus 2x. But where x is the input, x squared, the f becomes the input now. So it's going to be 2 times by x squared. Okay. So that is g f of x, which is that. Now, if they told you the value of x, you will not put it at this stage until you put g f of x inside the f. So now f g of f of x, what's going to happen is that I'm going to sub this one in. I'm going to put this inside the f of x. Okay, there. In other words, g f of x, which is this one now, becomes the input for that f of x. So that is going to be the f of x, which is x squared, but that is now going to be this. So x is going to be 7 minus 2x squared. Yep, that's going to go inside there. But then remember, it is x squared. So you're squaring the input. Okay, so that's just it. If you want, you can open this bracket, but I don't recommend that. Now, suppose they ask you to find f, g, f of, say, for example, 0. Now, all you need to do is where x, you just sub that 0. So I've got 7 minus 2 times by 0 squared is just going to be what? 0. And then I just square. So that's going to be 7 squared, which is basically going to be 49. Okay, so that's how to do that. So again, do gf of x first, what's inside. Once you get the function, that one, then you sub it in the domain or in the input of f of x there. Okay. Right, so taking you back now to these questions, I would like you now to pause the video and then do all these composite functions that I've got 3 functions in there. So pause the video and have a go at them, please. Okay, well done. So I'm just going to show you the answers quickly so then you can mark your work. So I've shown you the answers. Just pause the video and again mark your work. Okay, well done for today. So thank you very much. So that's going to be our 5th lesson on functions. We still got about 3 more to be able to knock this topic out. So well done for today and thank you very much.